I'm just gonna say what we're all thinking. Social media sucks. We all need it and we all use it, but we have no control over the whims of its algorithms, which are just controlled by private owners. Meta says it will no longer recommend political content or social commentary on its platforms, stunning journalists and newsmakers amid the presidential election. Could decentralized social media companies solve the problem? President Joe Biden has joined TikTok despite banning the app on government devices. We also talk about the latest social media trend, MobWise, and a blood test that can accurately predict the risk of dementia. Remember when Facebook was grilled in front of Congress after the 2016 election for allowing foreign actors to sow discord and spread misinformation on its platform, and for privacy breaches and so on?
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake.
Well, Facebook, or now it's known as Meta, is trying to prevent that from happening again this year during the election. So it has officially announced that it will no longer recommend political content, social commentary, or posts focused on laws or elections on its platforms, which include Instagram and Threads. This is, of course, coming as the 2024 presidential election is getting super heated, and it's incredibly shocking to me as a journalist and creator of news content, political content, and stories about laws.
Really? Nothing at all political or social commentary?
Technically, users can still follow accounts that post about political content and social issues, but the company is not going to be pushing that content out to non-followers, which means that the algorithms are no longer going to be recommending any of my content unless I completely change my content, and my reach has now completely tanked.
So you can post it, but you just can't have people see it.
Unless they already follow you, and as a growing content creator, this kind of kills all of my speech. Unless we do something really clever, like we've done in the past with topics about corn addiction or checks work, but that also just creates more disinformation and confusion, because if you can't say what the topic is and you have to speak in innuendo, then it's just going to confuse people even more. So this is really dangerous. This is why I think that social media companies completely need to be broken up. They have far too much control over free speech. I've talked about this a million times before, but social media companies are widely and incorrectly considered modern town squares where free speech is completely allowed, but it's not, and this really proves that to us. This is very dangerous. I recommend that all you people out there, if you want to continue seeing political content, and maybe you don't, but if you do want to, go follow a ton of different news sources and people that you want to keep seeing content from. Meta says they're doing this because they're just doing what the users have told them that they want, which is they don't want to see politics anymore, which for some people, yes, I bet is true. And even myself, I could use a little less of that, but I don't want them to completely censor it as they're doing now.
So do you think that these platforms like Facebook are completely in the wrong for wanting to do this? Because I can kind of see from their point of view why they might want to avoid the problem they had before and not want to go in front of Congress for weeks on end to be grilled by these old people that have no idea what they're talking about anyway, and it's just all really confusing and annoying.
Of course, these are private companies that make a ton of money on advertising. So of course they're going to say that they're doing this for the user, but they're really not doing this for the user. They're doing exactly what you said. They don't want to go in front of Congress again and get grilled. Mark Zuckerberg was sweating up there last time. You think he wants to do that again in front of everyone? No, absolutely not. The problem is that Congress is not regulating Meta and the major social media companies. And the reason why he's making this decision is to avoid regulation, because he almost got regulated last time. Of course he didn't, because why would he? But he doesn't really care about what the users want. If he did, then he would stop selling our personal data to third parties and they would try to secure our data better.
So then this move is to avoid potential regulation they're afraid of coming.
Yes, but there is some good news potentially, because for the first time in a long time, we are finally seeing some antitrust cases against technology companies coming through the pipelines through the Department of Justice. So, we'll see what happens in the future, especially with a potential different president. We'll see.
So in a move to avoid disinformation, we're cutting out all information.
Yeah, because that makes perfect sense. We don't want people to learn the wrong thing. So we're just gonna hide all that content. Maybe if you're following them, you'll see it, but if you're not following them, you're definitely not gonna see it. So now we're just gonna see cat pictures, cat videos, people's babies. That's fine, but let's also be honest that a lot of people aren't gonna be able to post anything because pretty much anything can be deemed social commentary or political. Me just being a woman is a political statement. So how are they gonna, enforce this, especially when they're known for arbitrarily enforcing their policies? This is a huge disaster.
Yeah, but on the good side, at least my family members might be less into conspiracy theories.
No, this is actually going to just heighten the echo chamber because if you're following a certain news outlet or certain politicians, you're only gonna see that content now. You are not gonna be presented with the opposition at all. You just won't see it because you're not following it. This is going to make the echo chamber even worse.
So it solidifies the existing echo chamber.
Yes.
All right.
No wonder President Biden is on TikTok now. He's an absolute hypocrite because he banned TikTok, the app, from being put on any government devices, citing national security concerns over alleged ties to the Chinese government. But if he wants to reach young voters, he's got a TikTok, especially now that Meta platforms are no longer going to promote political content.
So if Biden is now getting on TikTok, does that mean he's not worried about the national security problems of the app?
You're right. This is completely hypocritical.
And also, what's he going to do on there?
Plotting to rig the season so the Chiefs would make the Super Bowl, or the Chiefs just being...
Sounds really boring. Like, I don't want to watch it.
Trump or Biden?
Just on the ideal alone.
As a growing number of Twitter users log off in frustration, an alternative to that social media platform is on the rise.
They say it's like Twitter, but decentralized, and it's called Blue Sky.
I'm actually very excited about Meta's decision here because I think that decentralized social media platforms like Mastodon and Blue Sky are now going to take off, and they are going to be the answer to this problem of social media companies having too much control over our speech. Centralized social media companies like Meta store user data on servers that they own. And those companies have the right to do whatever they want with our data because we sign off on that just to be able to use the platform. And they can also decide when we are no longer allowed to talk about politics or whatever the subject of the day is. But decentralized social platforms, on the other hand, grant users sovereignty over their own content and data. Blue Sky, which is backed by Twitter founder Jack Dorsey, has officially opened its doors to the public. It was launched as an alternative to centralized platforms to foster open public discourse and give users control over their data and what they see. You can basically choose the algorithm that you want. Now, I just started posting to Blue Sky because I want to see how this experiment plays out, if I'm actually going to have a bigger reach than I have now on Instagram, which is basically none.
How long has this Blue Sky been around?
It's been around for at least a year, but it was invite only, and as of this month, they just rolled it out to the public.
Oh, so the beta is over.
Yes.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. The thing is about decentralized platforms like Mastodon and Blue Sky is they're not quite there in terms of user friendliness. I will say that Blue Sky is much better, but I think that they will get there. And now I think a lot of people are going to jump ship during this election because they're just going to see that they don't have free speech on other platforms.
Yeah, you know what I want? You know what I want them to build? I want them to remake Facebook circa early 2014. But not Facebook late 2014, because that's when it went downhill completely. We used to have 70,000 on my old YouTube channel, 70,000 subscribers in less than 2 years. And we could reach all of them when we posted something, and it was great. And it just kept growing and growing. Then it was like within 1 week's time, they changed it, dialed it, and then you had to pay to reach them. And then suddenly you would reach less and less people to the point that we just stopped posting on Facebook at all because it was pointless. Couldn't afford it.
Yeah, I no longer post on Facebook. I quit, and now I'm probably going to quit Instagram as well.
I'm in favor of all social media having a period of life and then dying, like a death and rebirth, and we just start something new. Like, that's the best way for it to go.
But I don't want a repeat of those things. So I don't want another centralized Facebook to start new because it's actually super annoying every time you have to start a new platform only to find out that it also sucks. So I am totally in favor of decentralized. I've been talking about decentralized social media forever now, like at least 6 or 7 years before it started even being feasible.
Yeah, I'm all for creating a decentralized social media platform. That sounds great on the premise level. However, even if we had that going and everyone jumped onto it, how do we avoid the problems of capitalism moving in eventually and slowly dialing it towards it's all about making more and more profit and less fun?
So that's a really good question. I wish I could remember the name of this project many years ago, but basically something that it proposed was that you as a user could opt in if you wanted to monetize on your own data. Let's say that you don't mind having your data shared with a third party, but then if that data is sold, you're getting a cut of that money. But you can decide if you want to opt in or opt out. And yes, some people need to monetize. I mean, I would love to be able to monetize. So I'm really curious to see what they're going to do, if they're going to allow that at all. Right now with social media companies, we are the product. You are the product. All information about you is being sold to third parties.
Well, I'm ready to jump on and find out.
Okay.
Let's get it started.
If you liked this episode, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Brigida.